everybody has a role in the future of healthcare. And so now it's just about getting together and I almost, actually, the word that just came to mind is like a think tank of companies who are solving the problems and looking at the future of healthcare and how do you get there and how do you really make a difference.
Hi, this is Unlimited Access. My name is Levi.
Hi, I'm Shannon Aylesworth.
Shannon, you are in a hotel room.
I
What's going
am.
on?
I actually look like, now that I just realized what it looks like. It looks like I'm in the makeup chair ready to go on TV, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
The lights
does.
here
Lights all
spin me
around you.
around. I'm like, ta-da.
The production costs of the show have gone up for sure.
Let's be clear. You originally thought I was in a bathroom. I am in a hotel room for anybody who's watching the show. In a hotel
That's
room.
right. And you're in Nashville. And why are you in Nashville?
So it's the kickoff of Project Healthcare, which is an accelerator, incubator. I don't even know if they call themselves that, but in the world of startups, it's innovation. It's an innovation house, is what it is. So it's about innovation in the healthcare space. And they kick off one cohort a year. And yesterday was the kickoff day.
So you're part of a cohort. Is there anything notable in your group that you're like, hey, that's pretty cool. This is an innovation thing. And you're part of this. We're part of it because
Yeah.
we're some men, right?
Yeah. You know what? All of them are cool. What's really cool about the whole group is the synergies across the companies. There's so many, like everybody was like, "Oh my God, I can work with you." You can see how they intentionally put together this group of companies that all are working on different problems, but either in the same stage, same challenge, can partner together with startups. And this is one thing people don't tell you is with startups often, and haven't been through this before, you're building for one piece and all of you are building towards the same vision and you just collapse them and they become one company. That's usually what happens in the startup world. As you progress and you grow, you start grabbing other synergistic companies because a lot of times the end users don't want to buy 5 startup products, right? They want to buy one, but you're building this holistic vision of a solution. So in the vision of healthcare and where healthcare needs to go, which we heard about it like from Eric, everybody has a role in the future of healthcare. And so now it's just about getting together and I almost, actually, the word that just came to mind is like a think tank of companies who are solving the problems and looking at the future of healthcare and how do you get there and how do you really make a difference.
That seems really exciting, right? So I don't know you probably can't discuss who you're paired with yet or not. So let's not go too far down that. Yeah.
You can actually,
Yeah.
like
Give us
public
some
information.
examples then. Yeah. Give us
It's
some
public.
examples then.
Okay. No, so they announced it on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, it's 15 companies out of 75 that applied. There's companies like Care Crown, a woman who does caregiver rewards, how we're big fans of caregiving, caregiver rewards, and how to get caregivers, give them motivation and support in their journey of health. And it's non-medical caregivers. It doesn't have to be a family person. It can be anybody, right? Because we're so short on caregivers. How do you incent the caregivers? And that can be anybody. Again, I've got a friend who's might end up needing a caregiver and he doesn't have family to take care of him. So it can be any caregiver. It's a rewards program to get caregivers embracing our older population and figuring out how to help them and integrate that into the workday. There's one guy, he's loved his solution. He does AI for sepsis in the hospitals, which if anybody who's been watching all these immense stories from Unlimited Access, my mother went septic 3 times. And it's terrifying if you ever see somebody going through sepsis and you don't know that they're going through it. It is literally an infection in your blood, which is your whole system. And my uncle actually passed from it. It's a very huge problem in hospitals. And I don't really know why. So it's not to say it's in hospitals and you get sepsis, but it's like their number one thing that they're constantly trying to fight. And he does AI for looking through blood results for indications really early on of sepsis to try and prevent and treat sepsis before it happens in hospital patients. Really just amazing solution. White Coat Technologies, I met them in August. They are building a platform to help accelerate and fill in the gaps of doctors training modules path. So again, another AI platform. AI, really, you know how I love about AI, To be clear, AI is a large language model. So AI goes across tons of information, finds gaps, in this scenario, finds gaps in that teacher's experience to help make them a more qualified doctor in the field and pairs them up with people who can fill in that gap of experience. So think about how long do these doctors healthcare is an art. With these doctors, they learn the science and then it's really experience that helps them be better. And so in that 12 years of training and schooling that they have to have, nobody can really track, are they getting enough experience to be effective across the board? So that's what this platform does by basically crawling through the system, seeing where they got their training, what kind of disease were they exposed to, if they're going to be a general practitioner, how do you fill the gaps? So you look at that and you don't realize how many things can be done. That's another one where you're like, AI, you know how mad I get about AI. But it's because it is a very specific use case. Every time you see a new technology, AI has been out, like I said, AI has been out for 20 years. The problem is it takes us 2 years to get through the noise to go, where's really the use case? And as a person who appreciates productivity and efficiency, I like to know, let's use AI where it fits fast because it is a really amazing tool when it's applied. So White Coat is a really cool company. So there's just all these really cool things that look at how do we improve the healthcare system today. And everybody talked about how that helps the patient. So whatever want to help
Um,
the patient.
that sounds really exciting. And there's so many things happening in 2024 for Ursamen. And one of the questions I had for you about this project accelerator, Project Healthcare would be, what are your expectations? And I know you don't really know yet what's happening and how it's going to go down there, but what are your expectations maybe for this program in the sense of like, how do you think it's going to like maybe just help you in the next, it seems to me like you're already connecting with people and that alone's got to be pretty helpful,
Yeah.
right?
It's huge. Yeah. I think, and as you said that, I realized part of why I always cringe on expectations because people want to know expectations, but then there's the expectation and there's the ask. And a lot of times people come into these programs, I think, with a very specific problem state, like, hey, I need money or hey, I need this. And I think that every accelerator that I've done, I was at a stage where I needed a certain piece of my process, right? My company to move forward. And I made sure that hey, this is going to get me to that next level. Is it most people come in with, oh, I just want to get funded, or I just need a customer, or can you solve this problem for me? The thing with startups is generally what you have is you have a huge problem statement. If you're doing it right, there's a huge problem that you're trying to solve. And 15 other people have had the idea before you and haven't been able to solve it. So you're trying to solve it and you need to find people who know and live in that problem and can help you iterate and work through it and continue to, that's why they say startups, like it is you're constant pivoting. We gotta change that word pivot, iterate. You're iterating until you find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Airbnb, Slack, all these big ones, Uber. Now listen, if you read the story on Uber early on, they launched and it was immediately successful. It was 6 to 8 years of iterating. So for me, the expectation is not it's not expectation. I'm ecstatic to be part of these people who I'll go back to a think tank, but who are also executing at the same time. So you're not talking, there are people coming in today. There's a 4 to 6 fireside chat, and then they're bringing in like 150 people of the community, and they're like, and don't be fooled. Make sure you put this through your head. Every single person in that room wants you to succeed.
Right.
So that is what I expected, is a community of people that go, we've chosen you as instrumental to the future of us figuring out this problem called healthcare that not one person can solve. And what can we do to help you? And what's your ask today? And your ask today might be different from your ask tomorrow. So for me, it's to just surround myself with people who have solved big, hairy problems and have successfully done that in a broad way. It's a community that gets you there. It's again, listen, Elon Musk, they talk about Elon Musk and Tesla. I know you love to compare Elon, which we all hope someday that's what people will think of me. But Elon didn't actually create Tesla. He invested in Tesla. So his intelligence was knowing how to pick a market and a timing and how to jump in at the right time. And he takes big risks. So that's great. There's people that do that all day long. I jump in to solve the problem, and then other people will come in and invest. Or it's like different, where's your particular value? So that's where this project healthcare, to me, the expectation is exactly what is happening, which is getting together with people who are solving and looking at this big problem and trying to figure out their way through to help a set of patients and or all patients if you can.
Yeah. I think the challenge that we're facing here at Ursamen is it's a big challenge, a big problem,
Mhm.
but it literally almost affects every human. Right? I mean, it's healthcare, right? And so at some point in time, we're all going to interface with that. The idea of
All
Elon
that.
Musk, it's great, but he's building cars, and cars, while we all ride in cars, there's a bunch of options, there's a bunch of solutions, but it's not a broken thing. Cars are not necessarily broken. It may not be preferred. There's
No,
a lot of things
no.
there, but healthcare is pretty broken. It's not a very functioning system right now.
I would probably say that is yes and no. Cars,
Go
the
ahead.
function of cars is not a problem. The
Mm,
fact that we are burning through fossil fuel and destroying the ozone layer and climate change is a problem. So the
mhm,
question is what stage is your problem at? Healthcare, that problem is now. We have people that are the ERs are overcrowded. Right, this goes back to again timing. So he went into Tesla early, had enough money to ride out this electric vehicle thing to see if it goes off. It's how early do you bet? Man built a space shuttle, right? Again,
that's right.
how early can you invest really usually depends on how much money you have and how long you can wait for that. So that's why people go, "Oh, he had his daddy's money." The more money you have, the earlier you can invest,
Yeah,
the more you can risk.
right.
Those of us who are like looking for money, the money now is like, how do we save money, save people today? To say it's broken, I personally am moving away from that because I feel like this is a worldwide problem. We have created this acceleration through chronic illnesses because of fossil fuels, because of everything else. So now you have a very exhausted workforce who needs help. And we collectively have a responsibility to help them. And oh, by the way, yes, it does hit everybody all the time. Now, you may not feel it. And I would say, even in the patient community, Levi, your tone, even in the beginning of these sessions, was like, I don't really get it. And
It's
it's a
true.
year and a half later, and you're like, oh my God. So I did this with the doctor, right? It's one of those where all of a sudden, once you're aware, you start to see how this system is trajectorying you downward. And so you start to go, oh, I got to start pivoting. And you start to make little changes during your day. And that's how we impact everybody. But the problem is that it's impacting the number of people like multiple chronic conditions, 66 million people going up to 132 in the next 10 years, 20 years like more and more people get aware. It's how fast are people getting aware, and now how much as a team do we have to fix it? I don't even know if that answered the question, but it was
No, I
back
think
to the
that
car
it
thing.
does.
Let's connect the car thing,
Yeah,
which is
yeah. Go
like
ahead.
cars aren't broken, but our Earth is. How
Mm,
much snow have we had in Syracuse this year? 10 inches, and we
0.
normally have 50. I'm sorry. I'm not a global warming person. I do not get into that because I believe if you read the scientist stuff, they'll say it always warms up and it cools down. It warms up and there's that. That's a debate I don't understand. I will tell you in Syracuse, I am dumbfounded that we have no snow. I'm just
Right. Isn't that
saying.
crazy? I think that when I use the word broken, it comes across crass as if the doctors or the nurses or the people in the healthcare industry are the reason why it's broken. And that's not necessarily
Yeah,
the case. I guess my
no,
point is
right. That's what it feels
it's
like.
yeah, and it's not really to attack that as much as it
And
is
people
like
are making choices every day to continue smoking and eat McDonald's. So is
that's
it
right.
really just their fault?
That's right. There's
Or
definitely the onus on your health as a human is primarily you, right? Unless there's something that's weird or freaky or an accident of some kind. I guess what I'm saying is just to be clear, and the reason why Ursamin exists is that it's this coordination between everything. And I feel like, yeah, the onus is on me as a patient. Yet when I go into the see the doctor, it feels like the onus is on them. And there's just it's a paperwork nightmare. It's a real challenge. And that doesn't mean that people don't want to care for me. They do, but it's overwhelming, maybe overwhelming from a patient perspective. That's what it feels like. It's like, I just can't
everybody.
and that's what I mean by that. But yeah, I hope it yeah, I'll see what yeah, overwhelming is a better way to say it.
It's overwhelming for everybody. The doctors are overwhelmed, the nurses are overwhelmed. It's why people don't want to go into the industry anymore. We've played whack-a-mole on the disease, and you see the HCMS and the HRQ say we're a disease focused state. We've got to make this shift. Again, we try to let people live their lives. People live their lives. We see what happens. What's the result? We're like children. We don't do anything until we see the repercussions of our action, and generally it's too late. So,
Yeah.
how do you start? That's why companies like patient nudging, and again, you'll start to tie these stories that we've said patient nudging is so important. Is how do I make you think about, especially that's what the accountability like fitness groups do. Like, I was part of this one
Mhm.
group. I was a big beach body person for a while, and it just makes you aware. And I realized as I would one day I was vacuuming, and there was a piece of wrapped up candy on the floor, and I picked it up And I was like, instead of throwing it away, I ate it. And now, listen, nobody needs to know that I'm eating candy off the floor, but it was in a wrapper, number one.
Yeah.
But number two, it was like, well, I can't waste. So throwing that out, leave. I didn't need to have that sugar in my system.
Right.
So it's about awareness. And it's about, that's where we're like all at that stage where it is overwhelming for everybody. We all have a role. That's where the coordination comes in. And as a patient perspective, how do we get control of our decision making is awareness of the immediate impact. And that's why all these tools like Lumen and other wellness tools are like, see what's happening. Why do you want your records? Because you want to see that when you ate that Big Mac last week, your cholesterol went through the roof.
Yeah.
They're teaching us what we have heard, but now we get to see because we have to live with the repercussions versus the doctors living with the repercussions. And that's where they've said it is broken in that the old model doesn't work for what's happening today. So it is time to change.
Well, Shannon, it's fun to be a part of a team here at UrsaMen that's really championing positive change and positive influence into this industry. You're busy, right? You've got just a few minutes to get
Yeah.
downstairs and get into your next session. Let's just wrap. And thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And Shannon, any final words?
No, thank you. I think we should push this to the Project Healthcare team. When they see it, thank you for including us in this conversation, and hopefully we can push their message out to our audience and pay attention to what they're doing. I know Nashville, it's also got the term Nash Vegas because it's also apparently a bridal bachelorette party capital of the world outside of Vegas. So they are known for bridal parties and country music, but healthcare they're doing amazing things. So pay attention, and thank you as always for listening to us.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.